Hello, hello, it's Maria. I'm a reporter here with WDW Magazine, here to take you on another magical escape. I am coming to you today from Disney's Hollywood Studios, where I am here to detail my top 3 favorite things to do for adults here in this park. Disney World is not just for the kiddos, and this park in particular has an awful lot to offer that is definitely geared for more of an adult audience. So without further ado, let's get into it. When you think of things to do for adults, attractions might not be the first thing that pops into your mind, but here at Hollywood Studios, there are 3 attractions that are really geared for adults that you do not want to miss experiencing if you are an older guest and are visiting Hollywood Studios. The first one I'm going to mention is right behind me. Of course, I'm talking about Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith. Aerosmith is definitely a band that adults are going to know. All of the songs that are played on this ride are all Aerosmith hits. The beginning, you walk into this area where the ride is, and the Aerosmith is inside of a Cadillac, which is definitely a throwback car that adults will definitely appreciate a lot more than younger audiences. And if you do go through the queue of this attraction before you get to the ride, which is a high-speed roller coaster, so again, not very kid-oriented there, but if you go through the queue of this attraction, there is a recording studio scene that if you are someone who is into music or interested in recording or interested in bands, you will find really, really exciting and interesting. But this is far from the only adult-oriented attraction here at Hollywood Studios. The other is just around the corner. Hollywood Studios was created with Hollywood in mind, most specifically with television and movies at the forefront of its creation. So if you are an old school TV or movie fan, you are definitely going to want to cross over into the Twilight Zone and take a drop on the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. The attraction here that is housed within possibly the best themed area of the park. The drop tower portion of the attraction, yes, is thrilling, but I love the details of this attraction. Starting from the queue, you will notice that it is themed to Rod Serling's The Twilight Zone. Rod Serling himself appears in the pre-show in the library scene here in an extremely accurate recreation of an intro of a Twilight Zone episode. And if you really look around, especially at the end of the attraction, you will find some props that were featured in the actual episodes. My favorite being the puppet that you find at the very, very end. I am coming to you from an attraction queue in perhaps the most kid-oriented land in Hollywood Studios, Toy Story Land. I'm queuing right now for Midway Mania, which honestly, I love this attraction more and more and more and more as I get older because I appreciate the details and what this was themed after as an adult. I remember playing games like Candyland, like Chutes and Ladder, like Uno, and you will find all of these really traditional classic board games represented throughout the queue. And when you get on the actual attraction, you are playing Midway style games that you would play like at the boardwalk from years and years and years ago. So although Toy Story Land itself may be highly themed for kids, this particular attraction, Midway Mania, really has so much going for it that adults will really appreciate if you just stop and take in the details. Adults watching, do you remember having monkeys in the barrel? They were super fun. So you'll find all kinds of original toys like dominoes, Crayola crayons, and look, a viewfinder with Peter Pan. That is an awesome detail. Plus, this is a competition game. You are in competition with the other people that are riding in your car. And like I said, as I'm getting older and older and older, I'm appreciating these types of things more. I love playing games with my friends. That's one of my favorite things to do when we get together and hang out. So to be able to engage in a little bit of friendly competition in the theme parks is really, really fun, especially as I get older. If you're someone who enjoys indulging in a great meal, immersed in some great theming while you are on a Walt Disney World vacation, there are 2 different restaurants that you should not miss when you are visiting Hollywood Studios. I'm standing right here in the first one. I am in the 50s Prime Time Cafe, located right off of Echo Lake. Now, this restaurant might not have the best food in the theme park, but it is highly themed to the 1950s, as is literally everything in here. From the moment you walk in to check in, until you are seated and enjoying your meal, you are immersed in a 1950s kitchen. And get this, even the wait staff are in on the theming here. They will come over and they might tell you to finish your vegetables before you are able to order dessert. Make sure you clean that plate. All of those traditionally cliche things that 1950s and 1960s parents used to say. But I come here for the theming. The television plays programming from the 50s. Everything down to the wallpaper and the knickknacks is themed to the 50s. And the food's themed. You'll find things like pot roast and meatloaf on the menu here. So everything from the moment you walk in until the moment your meal is finished is highly, highly themed. And adults, of course, are going to remember those eras, the 50s, the 60s, when parents really did make you clean your plate before you were able to have dessert. So this is one I definitely recommend for adults. And if this style of waitstaff kind of playing with you during your meal, and they definitely will play with you during your meal, is not your style, I've got another really, really wonderfully themed restaurant to recommend. The Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater is my favorite restaurant in Hollywood Studios and is one of my favorite restaurants in all of Walt Disney World Resort. The food, think burgers, think fries, onion rings, barbecued meats, milkshakes, typical food you would find at a drive-in movie or a drive-in restaurant. But the reason to come here is not for the food. The reason to come here is for the incredible theming. From the second you step into the Sci-Fi, you are transported back to the 1950s. You get to sit in 1950s styles cars to enjoy your meal at what is themed to be a drive-in theater at night. There is a huge screen playing clips from 1950s sci-fi, that's where they get the name from, films that really set the mood. You get to see commercials that would have played at a drive-in theater during that time. There's a snack bar in the back that technically is the Sci-Fi kitchen, but if you've ever been to a drive-in, you know that they do have little snack bars, so that's where your food comes from. The waitstaff brings the food right to your car that you are dining in with your family, and it is such an immersive restaurant, and it is so cool. I love every single thing about visiting the Sci-Fi, and if you are someone who is really into theming, especially nostalgic theming, this is the place that you want to come. And the waitstaff does leave you alone here. You actually get to dine inside of a car. Here is what it would look like. This seats 6. So it's almost 3 booth style seats here with an awesome view of the giant screen. If a really good meal is a priority for you when you are visiting Hollywood Studios, look no further than the Hollywood Brown Derby. Themed after the famous Hollywood Brown Derby that was in California for years and years and years, this restaurant features so many of the iconic dishes that were created there, like the Cobb salad and the grapefruit cake. Both of these are available here. I've personally tried both, and every time I've had them, not only are they delicious, but the ingredients are super fresh and they are of the highest quality. They also have a lot of other dishes on the menu here as well for you to explore, all taking their inspiration from the original Hollywood Brown Derby. I also recommend looking around this restaurant when you are visiting inside, because you will find the caricatures that were originally created at the Hollywood Brown Derby. Several restaurants in New York, like Sardi's, kind of took up the mantle and carry on that tradition today, but the original caricature that hung on the walls did originate at the Hollywood Brown Derby. So take your time looking around. You can also find some photographs from the original Brown Derby, and they date from the 40s to the 70s. You can see some of the famous faces who frequented the real Hollywood Brown Derby out in Hollywood. So Hollywood Brown Derby is the place to come if you are in the market for a great meal and some really fantastically mixed cocktails as well. If you still wanted to try some of those iconic Hollywood Brown Derby dishes like the Cobb salad, the grapefruit cake, and those iconic cocktails, you don't have to make a table service reservation if it is not something that fits your plans. Right here is the Hollywood Brown Derby Lounge, where they serve all of the cocktails that are served inside the restaurant and select dishes as well. So if a full sit-down meal is not something you have time for, definitely check out the lounge. It's first come, first serve, and you can really taste a lot of the different items out here too. As I make my way to my next adult-oriented location, tune in from a word from my friends over at WDW Magazine.
Subscribe to WDW Magazine and escape to Walt Disney World every single month. This large format glossy magazine is filled with content, not ads. Subscribe now and don't miss another month of magic.
Hollywood Studios created Baseline Tap House with adults top of mind. This is a California-style tap house-style stop that you can grab several different beers on tap. They actually do have seasonally rotating beer taps here, so if you're someone who comes frequently or comes at different seasons, definitely stop in and ask what their seasonal beer is. They also have wine on tap if you're someone like me who is not huge on beer, and they also have tapped cocktails. The atmosphere outside on the patio here is fantastic. They have a lot of umbrella tables, so no matter what the weather is, you can sit out here, be shaded from the sun, possibly from the rain. I've sat out here in a drizzle before, and it's really, really relaxing. And they also have some great snack and food options. I really like both the cheese board and the pretzel, which I did get today. So I'm gonna do a little mini review of everything that I got here today at Baseline Tap House and let you know how it is in case you wanna consider it on your next trip to Disney's Hollywood Studios. If you're a fan of old Hollywood studios, you will know that Baseline Tap House took over what was called the writer's stop. But if you look up high, you can find WRITERSSTOP spelled out there as a tribute to the old space. Like I said, I'm not the biggest beer drinker, so I went with the Line 39 Cabernet wine on tap. I gave this a sip already, but I already knew that I was going to like it because this is usually my go-to order when I come here to Baseline Tap House. I sometimes go with the white wine if it's a little bit hotter out, but I love this dry red wine, and it is very, very dry. It's not a very heavy Cabernet though, so if it is a little bit on the warmer side and you don't enjoy a white wine, I would not shy away from getting this one. It doesn't sit heavy like a Merlot. It has a nice crisp oakiness to it, and it drinks really, really smoothly. Another fun thing to mention about the drinks here is that they're all from California. This is a Golden Road Mango. This was from California, and the Line 39 Cabernet, also from California. So really fun fact, kind of goes with the theming here of the California theme they got going. I'm here today with my husband, and he ordered this mango beer. It's a warm day today. He says it's extremely light and crisp. He gets a slight mango taste on the finish, but he said it's not sweet. It's not like a cider. It's not anything like that. So if you are in the market for that, this is not it. This is definitely a beer flavor profile. But he said it's great for a hot day. He's really enjoying it out here on the patio, and he says it pairs really nicely with the pretzel. So if you enjoy a lighter beer, again, that's not gonna sit heavy when it's warm out, he definitely recommends this one. And the pretzel. I've had the pretzel here several times in the past, and I'm gonna be honest, sometimes it's really hot and fresh, and other times it is not. So I have a hack to get around that. I talked to our bartender, Gordon, today, and I let him know that sometimes the pretzel isn't as fresh as I would like it to be when I've ordered it here in the past. So he graciously went to the oven and checked to see which one was the freshest, and Gordon picked us an excellent pretzel. It is soft, it is very, very, very fresh, it's easily rippable, and the cheese that it is served with is hot. It's not just warm, it's actually hot cheese that I dipped into here today. That's delicious. The mustard is a classic mustard dip that goes with it too, and this pairs excellently with all of the drinks that they have here at Baseline Tap House as well. So such a relaxing atmosphere. They've got some really neat jazzy versions of some classic songs playing in the background. I'm under a covered table. There's not a ton of people around me. I love it. It's a great place to hang out, and one I cannot recommend enough for adults. Well, that's going to do it from me here today at Disney's Hollywood Studios. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our channels because we have plenty more content from Walt Disney World and other Disney destinations coming your way. Thanks again for watching, everyone. My name is Maria, and I will see you in the next magical escape.